At the end of a week that's already going to go down in the history books as one of Bungie's finest, we've got some really big information coming about the all-new raid set to drop in the Season of Opulence next month. What's going on, Guardians? My name is The Black Link, and today, or tonight rather, is Thursday, May 9th, 2019. And it's time for another issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. And this one is chock full of great information. Of course, this week, we had the release of the 0-hour questline, which ultimately rewards you, spoilers if you haven't done it already, with the Outbreak Perfected, a Destiny 2 version of the D1 raid exotic, Outbreak Prime. This was mind-blowing for the community out there, and caused a treasure hunt that some would say is still ongoing, at least in some ways. If you haven't had a chance to get the Outbreak Perfected, and have no idea how any of that is done, we've got a full guide video for the Outbreak Perfected right here on the channel with a heroic version coming out soon, as well as maybe a guide video for how you can work towards the exotic ship reward. The puzzle for that one's a little insane, so we'll see. But anyways, there'll be links to all of that down in the description box below. But for right now, we're about to learn about the Season of Opulence. We get the name of the brand new raid, and we even get a release date for all of it. So let's go ahead and dive on into this week's TWAB. We'll start things off with a section titled Season of Opulence, Getting Raid Ready. Starting June 4th, 2019, Season of Opulence kicks off for all players of Destiny 2. Many of you are familiar with how raids can launch with new content, usually on a Friday at reset. This season, we're doing something a little different. Owners of the annual pass will be challenged to conquer a new raid on day 1. Here's some context on this new plan and changes to the upcoming power climb. And then we get a message direct from the dev team involved. The world's first race for a raid is a competitive event. The raid is a challenge geared towards testing a fire team's ability to learn and execute on the mechanics, as well as their ability to overcome enemies and bosses together. Having a short window of time between release and launch allows us to preserve the combat challenge for players making their attempt on day 1 and get people playing the raid content right away. And then from there on out, we actually get the name of the new raid activity in the Season of Opulence. It's going to be called The Crown of Sorrow, releasing alongside the next season on June 4th, 2019 at 4 p.m. Pacific Time. We also get the recommended power for the first encounter in the Crown of Sorrow at 715, meaning it's going to be about 15 light higher than what's currently the max. They go on to state that with this race, there will be a few minor changes to current investment systems to ensure an even playing field while players are increasing their power at the launch of the season. First up, Last Wish and Scourge of the Past will be unavailable until Crown of Sorrow has been beaten. This prevents players with a stash of ethereal keys from having a leg up in the race. So if you stack up a bunch of raid chest keys and then wait for the new season to come, wait for reset to roll over, you won't be able to run into those raids, turn in all of those keys after beating Riven or whatever, and then instantly get some power boosts. Bungie's definitely thinking ahead on this one. Although I will say, they say that Last Witch and Scourge aren't going to be available until Crown of Sorrow has been beaten. That's a nice sentiment there, wanting people to play the new content, but hopefully there's some kind of hard timer on that. Like, what if nobody beats Crown of Sorrow for like a week? Are we just going to be locked out of those raids for a week? I know that seems like a silly concern, but we've seen weirder things happen in this game, even in recent times. So hopefully fire teams are able to complete the Crown of Sorrow before too long, or Bungie has a backup plan and maybe a hard timer on those old raids that you're not locked out for, ever. Moving on, Prime attunements will be reset to 2 charges per character on day 1. While characters build Prime attunement charges over time, these are being set to 2 per character upon logging in after the new season begins. All level 50 characters can earn Prime engrams after signing in and playing during the Season of Opulence, and players may continue to build Prime attunements over time after the reset occurs. Basically, what they're saying here is that after the Season of Opulence goes live, your Prime attunement is only going to allow you to earn 2 Prime engrams before the attunement itself resets, so it's probably going to take you a while before you see another Prime engram drop after that initial 2. Again, this is another step to kind of prevent players from going and farming up EXP as quickly as possible with the max Prime attunement buff, and then just getting a bunch of Prime engrams for an easy light grind. With the way Prime Attunement works, basically the longer you're playing the game, the more your attunement builds up, which helps you get those Prime Engrams. So basically they're going to get you're going to get 2 Prime Engrams, and then that attunement's going to reset and you're going to have to build it back up from 0. Alright, moving on. As a reminder, any powerful bounties acquired prior to Season of Opulence will have a power cap of 700. For additional information, see the Cleaning House section of their help article there. And there we go, so we had the reveal of the brand new raid, Crown of Sorrow, set to release alongside the Season of Opulence on June 4th, 2019. A day 1 raid experience, giving me flashbacks of like the Crota's End raid way back in the Dark Below. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I thought for sure that they'd have another Friday release to get people a little bit of time to try to farm themselves up to an appropriate light. But now that we know that the first encounter is sitting at about 715, I'd imagine that most dedicated teams probably won't have too much trouble beating at least the first encounter. And the final boss is probably going to be somewhere in the 740s, maybe a 750. Which makes sense considering that's going to be the new power level cap. Very exciting stuff here. I was not expecting to get our first bit of information about the raid in this week's TWAB, but we are moving ever closer to the release of the Season of Opulence. And I tell you, I really couldn't be any more excited for it. But that's not the only bit of information we got in this week's TWAB. The Iron Banner is returning for its final run in Season 6. That's right, it feels like we just had an Iron Banner, but this one is going to be completely clean of Revelry spam. Next week, starting on May 14th and going until May 21st, Lord Saladin will be returning to the tower, and he's also going to be bringing some more double Valor points. So if you're still working towards getting that curated Wizened Rebuke, or Lord forbid, that crazy Heavy as Death emblem, you'll have another opportunity starting next week, and hopefully it'll be a little less rage-inducing this time around. It looks like Lord Saladin is going to be selling the Iron Banner grenade launcher as well as the hand cannon Krimel's dagger. So here's hoping we get some decent rolls on all of that. Additionally, with the release of Update 2.2.2, they fixed an issue where the Iron Ruby shader was not being rewarded when dismantling Iron Banner rewards. So if you've been looking to acquire that shader, you can either dismantle a reward that's already in your inventory or dismantle an Iron Banner reward next week. Alright, now with that being said, there we go, Guardians. That's pretty much it for the biggest bits of news covered in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. This has been an action-packed week in the world of Destiny 2. If you haven't given the Outbreak Perfected quest a shot, get out there. You owe it to yourself to go matchmake somewhere in the farm and get this thing. It is a fantastic weapon. And while it's a bit of a slow starter, once you get this thing going, especially if you've got other people in your fire team using it, the damage output it's got is absolutely insane. It's definitely a ton of fun to play with, and besides, you'll get to meet Trevor along the way. But alright, Guardians, is going to be it for this one. Those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. Have you gotten the Outbreak perfected? What are your thoughts? Are you psyched about the new raid? How about the name there? The Crown of Sorrow. What is it all going to mean? What are your thoughts? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But alright, Guardians, that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.